So this is the crux of the story here now. So we, as the geologist of the project, I was the guy that had to live in the desert and work out there. That was my job, to go out and map and sample and look for areas that we can do more detailed exploration, such as drilling and geophysics.
So you were the first guy. You were the tip of the spear in terms of a mining project.
Yeah.
Get a geologist on the ground to take his hammer, what do you call it, your geopick, and start literally looking for gold in samples from the surface of the earth.
Yeah. Signs of mineralization.
Signs of mineralization. And while we're on that, let's
get into the story.
You don't want to talk about your rock just yet.
No, not yet. We'll get there.
No problem.
Yeah.
Let's
I'll show you exactly where it comes from. Right here.
Fantastic.
The exact point. So, yeah, we had to build a camp in the desert. Now, logistically, to get the stuff into the desert was quite cool. So we had to hire 3 Bedford trucks. So the British, don't know whether they left the Bedfords here or they just have they're old Bedfords or they're bringing new Bedfords. But a Bedford is a huge 4x4 lorry. Should I Google it?
Please do. I'd love to. I've got no idea what you're even talking about.
Let's try Sudanese Bedford lorry. There it is right there. One of these. Checking it.
So you had 3 of those?
3 of these.
Full of your high-tech laboratory equipment?
No, not the lab. This was just for...
Your remote camp?
Yeah, there's a nice...
Okay.
There's a nice...
So the lab was in Port Sudan?
Lab was built with containers, and it was built in Port Sudan.
Gotcha.
Not built, commissioned, recommissioned.
Okay.
So these
Look at that thing. That looks like a tank.
So these are 4x4 lorries, but they've been modified by these locals. So you check what they've done here. So what they do is they cut the cabbie off here. Okay, and then they rebuild it with this weird sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, Sudanese touch. So they've got like another cabin built in here, but it is the most uncomfortable drive you've ever had in your life. Because I said, let me try and sit in one for an hour.
Yes.
And you have to sit hunched over and look down while you're driving, because the way they've built the seats is it's raised. So your head's not looking through the windshield. It's just...
That's hilarious.
It's very inconvenient.
And it actually says Bedford in the front.
Yeah, that's what the truck is called. It's a Bedford.
I see it's got proper things to clip chains into in the front if you want to pull something.
Yeah, no, it's a real workhorse of a car.
I can see that. I can see it's got a massive petrol tank, or is that a water tank underneath?
No, that's its diesel tank, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Cool. So 3 of these.
We loaded up 3 of these with all of our tents, our fridges, all of the equipment we needed to build a camp. We put it in there, loaded them in Port Sudan, and 5 o'clock in the morning we all headed in a convoy. 2 Land Cruisers, 3 Bedfords, hit the road towards that campsite where I showed you here now.
Google Earth.
Towards here, this was our first site. We scouted the site about 3 weeks before we went out. We went to the desert with a colleague of mine, and we went and scouted where we can put the camp, engage with the local tribes, see if we can get there. But that's even part of the story. So our first site was right, where was it? There. Right in there.
Wow. In a dry riverbed?
No, we avoided being in the riverbed. In case it did rain, they get heavy flash flooding here. So it would have wiped the camp out. But we were just on a little slope. We called it Hotel Wadi Dirut, because this main, they call it wadis, these river channel. This main east-west wadi is called Wadi Dirut.
Okay.
So we called it Hotel Wadi Dirut. So we had the 3 Bedfords, we went there and we unloaded, and then we built the camp. It took us about 4 or 5 days of building, putting up the tents.
Working with people. It's also a very important part of the story for me is that once you arrived in Sudan, you employed local people to help you assemble your camp.
Yeah.
Whom you also became very close with.
Yes.
Over the past couple of months.
2 guys we employed, Saeed and Ali. Saeed is geologist by trade. He's educated, been to university. Lekker guy. I feel for him now because he's not working. I don't know if he's still going, how long it's going to be for him.
What the hell those guys are doing
He just
there?
got married, you know.
He's the chap that just got married.
Just got married. So yeah, I feel for old Saeed.
Yes.
And then Ali, can't speak a word of English. He's a local tribe guy. He's a Bija. That's the local tribe.
Does he deal with the? Should I include that part? Because doesn't he want to keep that anonymous?
What?
What sect he's from?
No, that's Saeed.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Saeed, don't worry about that.
I'll just edit this part out anyway. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting.
So Ali's our driver.
Ali's your driver. And does he's the one that talks to the locals when you get pulled over? And
if I need to sort them out, yeah. Because he can speak, in the Bija don't speak Arabic, they speak Bija. It's its own language.
Oh, wow.
So...
Not related to...
Nothing, doesn't... If you speak Arabic you speak Bija to an Arabic speaking person, they won't understand a word. It's a totally different language.
Very cool.
Yeah, but it makes translations is the biggest problem. Because you've got to go from Bija to Arabic, Arabic to English. Then English to Arabic, Arabic to Bija.
Jeez.
So it's a huge broken telephone. And that was a big source of frustration, was negotiating with these local people.
But that is fascinating. And I also want to get into, the fact that you look at this from a top view. And I mean, that is as barren and as desert as it can get. Maybe even worse because there's mountains. So like you get lost in there. And people don't know where you are. People aren't going to find you. But the interesting thing for me is that there are actually people living in the desert permanently. You saw people living out there while you were working.
Yeah.
Will you want to reflect on that, on those people?
Yeah, it's they live a very simple way of life, obviously. But you can see they've got some Western influence because some of them have got cell phones and they drive motorbikes and.
Yes, and I'll get some of the photographs from you. But the fascinating thing, that was one of the fascinating things for me, were those desert miners, those desert artisanal miners.
Yeah, they call them Dahaba.
And they've got Mad Max-like motorcycles with their prayer mats attached, tanks of water, and they cruise into the desert and themselves mine for gold. Is that right?
Yeah, but they have different methods. Some of them use a metal detector.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or some of them physically mine veins, put it in a bag, take it to Port Sudan and sell it.
Yes. And in our country we've got artisanal miners, but we've got a slightly different name for them.
Yeah, Zamas.
Yeah, we've got Zamas.
But they're illegal in South Africa, whereas in Sudan they're legal. That's part of their mining industry.
So they've got so each person digging for gold out here in the desert has some sort of license to mine.
No, not a license to mine. It's the way they sell the gold. It's regulated how they sell it.
Okay.
So there's a taxation to the government to sell the gold.
Very interesting.
Yeah. That's the challenge because you get an exploration concession like we do, and where you exploring and you have government rights to do the work.
Yes.
You've got hundreds of people literally mining your gold that's in your concession, and you can't do anything about it.
Mm.
But they only touch the surface. So, we're looking for something huge, something deep.
You want to make mullah.
Yeah, something bigger. They just surface scratches.
Which is fascinating.
Tough work. You've got to give it to them. I tell you, working in that heat.